Welcome. I'm so excited for you to be here with us today. Again, this is Melissa Windell, and I'm here with Cheryl with Healthy Family Homebirths. And this is our featured healer of the month. And as her business describes, she is a midwife. And I'm just so excited to work with her today, for midwifery is the ancient way of how humans used to help be supported coming into this world. So I'm so excited to get a little bit of insight with you today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I often joke that midwifery is the actual oldest profession in the world. And we actually see it in other mammals too, with the females supporting other females in the birthing process.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, so elephants will circle the birthing female. Whales have been known to help each other. So yeah, it's universal across many different mammals. And as humans, this is we're a very social animal, and so this is how we have supported each other during birth through our millennia.
Wow. That's just so fascinating to me. I didn't ever know that about the elephants, and I could definitely see that with the whales, because whales and both elephants are very family oriented, tribal type creatures. And I remember, because I also had a midwife when I gave birth to my beautiful daughter, Charlotte, and we had to watch a video on like the ancestry of, and the lineage of home births, and they, in lots of different parts of the world, if I'm correct, they still give birth out in the nature in a squatting position. You know, if they're working in the field, they pop down and help bring the baby out into the world.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. It's definitely, it's, as a midwife, I don't look at birth as a medical event. I definitely view it as a normal part of a woman's process. And of course, not every woman can have children or chooses to have children, but those that do and can, it's a normal part of our process. We don't need help having our menstrual cycles on most occasions. We don't need help getting pregnant on most occasions. The body is able to create a life, feed the life, birth the life, and then continue to feed the life. So it's a pretty amazing process that we have.
So with like what you just described, do you feel like when you're doing your service, your gift to help women, it's not so much to help bring the baby into the world, it's more there to help support the mother and the whole dynamic of like the father and
yeah, definitely. I mean, people, when they find out I'm a midwife, they're often like, oh, you must love babies. And of course I do. Who doesn't? That's our physiological event. We're like, oh, babies.
So cute and squishy. Yeah.
I know, right? But my time with the baby is actually very short. My time with the mother is much longer, or the birthing person. And I get to spend, their pregnancy, the labor, and the postpartum period. And I actually see my clients through the first year of their postpartum, whereas most care ends at 6 weeks. So I really get to watch this person transform from being an independent person, into their pregnancy, their motherhood, their however they want to be described, but into that new transformative event of bringing life into this world.
It's like such a gift, because going from a maiden or single female into creating life, and then that transformation and transition from maiden to mother, and then watching them for a whole year as they develop and the child has so many milestones. But with that space, I was curious, because I also remember with my midwife, it's usually about a 6-week follow through. And I think my situation was a little different because I was bedridden for a month afterwards. So she gave all of, I think, but the last 2 visits were in my home. But what does your service look like from top to bottom?
Sure. So once a birthing person decides that they are going to have a midwife, then usually they interview about 3 or 4 midwives to find the best personality for them and just who they feel the most comfortable with. It's a very intimate experience, and we're all individuals, so we just connect with different people on different levels, and so that works out. And then when they hire me, the prenatal care is pretty standard, so it's every 4 weeks until 28 weeks gestation.
And do sometimes they hire you in the beginning of the pregnancy, the middle, and the end, just whenever they find you?
Yeah, so I can be their only care provider throughout their whole childbearing years. Or if they've had care from another provider and they want to switch providers, that happens as well. So it's really when that awareness comes into their realm that they want to change providers, or that they know what they want already, then that's when they come to me. So and I can do all the lab work. I can order ultrasounds. So there's no deviation in care. I think sometimes people have a misperception that if they have a midwife, they're going to have a lower standard of care. But really, we provide, we can order all the same labs and all the same ultrasounds and everything, but we actually provide an hour-long with our clients. We provide, it's not just about your vital signs. It's also, how are you integrating into, this pregnancy? What's your body doing? What's your social situation? So we really discuss and cover things, whatever it is that the person brings to the table that they need to work on. We provide a lot of education in the prenatal period.
Oh, that's so beautiful, because it's like such a trigger for me when I go to the doctors and I only have 20 minutes with them, and it's like I can't really cover anything in 20 minutes of whatever's going on. So to have a full hour, because there's so many emotions and so many different things, and do you find that the emotion of the mother can affect how the birth is?
It really just depends on, it depends on the person and the baby. So I'm not sure if I would put a direct correlation between those two. But having a emotionally, physically healthy birthing person will definitely help with the birth process and the postpartum period and, all of those situations. And the reason I use birthing person is because not everyone identifies as woman. And then also, I also have helped women who are planning for adoption or for surrogacy. And so they may not want to be referred to as mother.
Oh, wow.
And
that's like a whole different world. I was kind of wondering where that was coming from. I'm like, what? Why is she referring to that? Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just wanted to. Right.
Yeah. But, why not?
Thought process, right?
Yeah.
So I love serving, birthing people, and just however they identify, or if they're serving somebody else by surrogacy or through an adoption, then I've definitely been there. And my goodness. Oh,
so. I can only imagine. What that's like. I wanted to get back to that one question because I kind of derailed you, but so you see, before the child comes into the world, you see them for every 4 weeks?
Yeah, until 28 weeks. And then we go every 2 weeks until 36 weeks.
Okay.
We usually do a home visit sometime in the 36, 37 week time. Every midwife is a little different on how their style is. I like to see my moms at home every other week, and then every other week they come here.
Oh, okay.
So at 36 weeks, we go every week from thereafter.
Okay.
So it's once a week, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, until the baby's birthday comes.
The gift.
Yeah. And then the birth is an amazing event. It's often, for labor, I often describe myself more as the support person. So I'm there to fill the need. What does the mom need to relax or to be in her space to go through this very intense, beautiful process of birthing. And then for postpartum, that's also where I come in with a lot of nourishing support and really helping that dyad get off to a good start. And again, whether the baby is going to an adoptive family or to a surrogate family, really helping that that mother and baby start, or that father and baby start with the dyad. And then also the birthing person, helping that person integrate and heal as well.
Oh, wow.
So it really is, midwife means with woman, and it really is with woman. It really, and again, I use that woman term, as historical, but it's really like I'm with that person. Whatever they are experiencing or they need, that's where I really support and find help with the transition of their experience.
I feel like that's just I want to speak about this, so I'm trying to figure out how to tie it all in, but like what you're talking about right there is like being really present with the person and connecting with their heart center and connecting with their body in a way that you can look at each other and read those thoughts of what they need to help support them. And I feel like
that's like a perfect way to say it, like how, continuity of care works with midwifery, because I get to know my clients so well during their prenatal period. And during that birth period, I can see before they need to ask for a drink, or I can see they're struggling with a position, or, I don't need to ask these things. Like I've already established that I understand who they are as a person, and that we can just, connect and find that space. And of course they're working with their partner maybe, or their family, but it really just ties it all in together as the care provider.
And not to like say that going to a hospital or having your doctor can't provide that, but I feel like that's the gift of a midwife, especially if you are a person that is, like for me, like I'm more of a one-on-one person. I want deep, intimate connection. I don't do well with shallow conversation. And I feel like, and not that a doctor or anything like that wouldn't also go to a deep level with you, but I feel like that's the gift of the midwife, is that you get to get really personal. And the fact that you do your prenatal visits every other week at their home, to me, like I can instantly see how that would be so supportive, because one, you start to learn their house. You start to know where in the room they might want to give birth to the child. And, you also get to get comfortable in their home. So you're not walking in and being like, whoa, what's happening in this house, or, just so you know your way around, so you can navigate, so you can better support the client, and that they can be comfortable with you in their home. Because by the time you show up for the birth, it's like your family member walking in.
Yeah.
And, another piece I think also about being that close with, midwife, my labor was really long. My labor was like 79 hours long. And I walked around for like 3 days in the house naked, and it was like, I had to be really comfortable with my midwife and obviously my partner at that time to be able to do that, and I think that is that gift of the midwife. And I think another gift too is that they have these holistic ways of helping support the process. I mean, I know how to do castor oil, and I did acupuncture, and all these different positions, whereas when I went to the hospital, they wanted to put me in a wheelchair. And and at midwives, I'm sure you're encouraged not to be sitting. You're encouraged to be moving when trying to induce labor.
Yeah. Although sometimes if the mom needs to rest, that might be the best option. So, there's so much we can't control around the birth process itself.
I love that piece right there.
I'm always prepared and I help prepare my clients if we do need to transfer for any reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like that's the key as to why I'm there as a care provider as well, and I'm not just a trusted friend or what have you, is that if there's something that, an intervention that needs to happen, then I'm there to support whatever needs to happen to make that intervention go as smoothly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So if that intervention is something that I can help at home, then that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
If that intervention is something that needs higher level of care, like at the hospital support,
Mm-hmm.
then that's where we go and we get that care. But again, the very valuable thing, as you mentioned, is that your midwife would also go with you.
Yes.
And transfer your care
Mm-hmm.
as the care provider to the new care providers at the
Mm-hmm.
hospital. But the midwife usually stays with the family and helps integrate this new setting, this new birth experience or
Mm-hmm.
postpartum experience if it's some transfer after postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
So, we don't, like I said, it's really with women. We really just, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
family needs,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that person needs, we continue on the care. We're not, just part of a group and, well, my shift is done and
Mm-hmm.
that's the end of the time you have with me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very personal relationship
Mm-hmm.
as a midwife and a client.
Yeah, I could definitely see that where it is, and I experienced that too. And I had to go to the hospital too. My midwife was there with me through the top to the bottom, and she was an extra voice for me of like, we don't want the baby bathed, we don't want shots, we don't want this, especially in a space where you're so vulnerable and you're going through this huge journey and this huge passage. It's like to have that advocate there. And also I think too, as a gift as a mom or as the female, the mother having the midwife, it's like, I feel like you don't have to do it all alone.
Yeah.
It's like, I can look at you and be like, oh, thank you for helping take this load with me and holding my hand and guiding me through the forest, of what is about to open up, and that support. I mean, right there, I feel like is priceless to have support like that. So Cheryl, what is the part of you that felt called to this passage of life that you're in?
Yeah, well, I had lots of seeds planted along the way. And I feel like, sometimes we travel through this world and this lifetime, and we're not really sure how this is all adding together.
Mm-hmm.
We have certain experiences, or we have certain talents, or certain ways of being that people are like, you should do this, or you should do that. And none of those feel quite right. So I've always been interested in natural health, so
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, diet. I worked at Whole Foods for a long time where I learned a lot about supplements and herbs. I worked in the vitamin department.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been a really good listener and a really good empathetic person, even, as a child. And my mom has stories of but she always used to think that I should be a psychologist or something with that kind of talking profession.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always felt really drawn to education and, again, that holistic lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And when we moved here to Colorado, I was living in Florida at the time. There was a homeopathic school here in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still here. It's Homeopathy School International. And so I enrolled in the school because I was very interested in homeopathy. It was one of the things in the supplement department that I didn't understand a lot about.
Yeah.
And so it fascinated me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, what is this? What's the science behind it? I want to know more. So I enrolled in the school.
Mm-hmm.
And in my second year of that school, I was kind of thinking about another modality to do along with homeopathy, because homeopathy wasn't a very common modality that people understand a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it might be kind of hard to create a profession only with a homeopathic degree.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in my study group, and a very strong and loud voice in my head said that you should be doing this with midwifery.
Oh, wow.
And I had never been with, been around pregnant women, really. I was an only child, been around breastfeeding women. I was kind of taken aback by that sort of loud intention that came through. But when something comes through that clearly and that loudly,
you have
to not ignore that.
Yes.
So I finished my second year of homeopathy school and enrolled into a midwifery school.
Which is like no little undertaking. I mean, it's like years. It's like almost like doctorate style. Isn't it? Like how many years does it take to become a midwife?
It took me 4 years. So it can take people between
time.
3 and 8, 9, 10, 15. I mean, it depends on
how fast you go.
Yeah, and if you have children during the time and other things that kind of pause school, which happens in life and all kinds of professions.
Yeah.
So I enrolled in midwifery school in September 2010. I attended my first birth in January 2011.
Wow.
A very kind mama invited me to her birth.
Oh.
And from there on, I just knew that was the right path, and it's not that when you have a journey or a path that is meant to be, for me, it's not that it was easy necessarily. There was a lot of hard work involved, but whenever I felt like there's no way I can do this any longer, another door would open and it would just be like, no, this is what you're supposed to do. So all of my skills of being empathetic, being an active listener, being an educator, they come together perfectly as a midwife. I really love what I do, and I love that I was guided to this path.
That's a beautiful story, and how I feel like the midwifery kind of came like totally out of blue. A little bit.
Yeah. There were a few seeds. I'm like, oh, that was a seed and that was a seed, but they were not like flourishing sunflowers yet.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And in this line of work, like, what is like one thing that you feel like you cherish the most?
I cherish the most really guiding women through that transition. And I don't even know if guiding is the right word, but really watching them through that transition and just being a part of that transition.
I can only imagine like the look in their eyes when they're like pushing, it's like, I'm sure it's like a whole different, like, a whole different look comes out in that moment, because that's like the fire coming out,
Yeah, the center, the focus, the intensity.
Yeah, intensity would be a great word for it.
Yeah. But my favorite moment of birth is tucking the new family into bed after everyone's all just sweet and loved and everyone's well. And then they know that I'm coming back tomorrow. They know that there's still this person who is guiding and caring for them, but they're also given the space to manifest their family.
That's such a gift. And I want to ask one more question, because I feel like for most people, they don't know like what midwifery is. And I feel like you did a really beautiful job at helping opening that world up. But what would be like, because I feel like some people might have reservations of like, doing a home birth versus the hospital. So like, what would be like one thing to help like lessen that fear or like soften that space of unknowingness truly?
Yeah, well, I do want to add before I answer that question that there are midwives that work in hospital as well. And oftentimes those midwives work very hard to maintain their autonomy in the hospital and to maintain true to midwifery care. Because in the US our obstetric model is so heavy, and obstetricians are amazing specialists in high risk surgical pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
They are awesome at that.
Yeah, they serve
and we
a good
appreciate
purpose.
their service for that. But midwives are the primary care providers for pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. And in most other countries, we are integrated throughout the maternity care, throughout menarche to menopause. We serve women throughout their whole lifetime. And we refer to obstetricians when, there's some complication that's happening that needs some extra support, but then the midwife still gets to stay in the care. So I just wanted to point that out, that in the U.S., the midwifery practices work really hard to maintain the true, being true to midwifery, which is understanding that birth is a normal physiological event rather than a pathological event. So again, it can be difficult in a hospital setting because of protocols and the dominant obstetrical hierarchy that we have. But there are midwives that work in the hospital as well, and birth centers. Some people feel like birth centers are a good in between that. But there's a really awesome French obstetrician who said, the very first intervention you take is to walk out of your house. So Michael Ledant said that, and Michel Ledant, sorry, it's French. But he's right. I mean, this is where your baby was conceived. This is where your child will grow up. Why not bring in, if the birth works as, we're expecting it to, then why not bring the baby into the life that you're already provided for it? Yeah, I love attending home births. I've attended births in all three settings, and home birth it's so intimate. There's as the care provider, there's a different environment that comes with me when I step into somebody's home. There's a different humbleness that comes with me when I step into somebody's home, rather than them coming to my space. If it's my birth center, I've got my things over here, and I've got this over here, and you should stay over there, and I'll get you food order things. Yeah, this is my space, and so I'll kind of make sure that you're taken care of in my space. But when it's your space, you know how you want to be taken care of in your space. I don't have to tell you, like, hang out in your room for 2 hours.
Or maybe you would like to go make yourself a cup of tea,
Yeah.
Or I would make you a cup of tea, or maybe they'd want to drink their own.
Or you could tell me, like, I want a cup of tea. It's in my cabinet. Go get me this tea that I want, or like, I want to go walk around outside. I want to be in my space, in my backyard, in my in my front yard, wherever it is. Like, I want to be in my space. And, I've attended births all the way in little tiny hotel rooms, to large homes and everything in between. But, there's something about being in your own space and having the care provider come in with a certain amount of humbleness that this is your space and that you are empowered of your space. I'm not telling you that this is my space and that I own the space. So, I don't know, it's just a different environment. And did that answer your question?
It did, and like 2 words keep coming up for me, like with midwifery. It's like comfort and nourishment. And it's like both of those need to come into play, I feel like. And I love that piece where it's almost like, the hospital has more of like that male yang energy, and the home and the midwife brings in more of the yin energy that supports the fluidness and that nourishment and support. Yeah, that's a gift.
Yeah, and the comfort and the safety of being at home.
And I love that piece of like, why not bring this child into the place where it was conceived and created and gets to have these memories, Yeah. I love that. So go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, it could definitely be a family affair.
Yeah.
With older kids and, there's some really beautiful birth pictures out there of, you know, the older siblings getting into the birth pool and meeting the new sibling, and, you know, the older siblings brushing mom's forehead as she labors.
So precious.
Yeah.
Before we tie it up, I just want to ask, because I know, do you do any like placenta encapsulation? Do you help with placenta stuff? Things like that as well?
Yeah, so the placenta is the organ that was grown for the baby to be nourished inside of the uterus. And after the baby is born, then the placenta is birthed shortly thereafter. And the placenta provided all of the nourishment and hormones during the pregnancy. So the woman's reproductive system kind of takes a break, and the placenta provides all of the estrogen and progesterone to keep a pregnancy going. Yeah, and it's high in iron. It's a very meaty organ. People describe it kind of like liver. I don't know, I don't eat organs, so I wouldn't tell you. But it is a very meaty, fleshy organ. And because after the placenta is birthed, those hormones decrease significantly. And other hormones come up, and it's a very fulfilling time of figuring out this new process of your body's had a break for a while and stuff like that. So placenta encapsulation, in many different cultures, women consume the placenta after the birth. Almost all mammals will eat a placenta after they birth their babies. I read this a lot actually in dog breeders, because the puppies will be born and they'll let the moms have a couple of the placentas, but then they have to take some of them away for each individual puppy. I don't know. Weird. But almost all mammals eat their placenta after the birth because it's very high in oxytocin. It's very high in the hormones. And oxytocin is what helps close down the uterus after the birth.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So in the US, we're a little bit more squeamish around that kind of thing. Yeah. So we're more comfortable with drying it and putting it into capsules and taking it as a supplement type of form.
Yeah, because otherwise, or you can do it like a smoothie.
You can do some like a smoothie. Most people don't taste it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially like a berry smoothie, like strawberries, blueberries, almond milk. And again, it's so much nourishment that new moms never really even notice if it's in the smoothie. In some cultures, they'll cook the placenta and eat it in like a plantain leaf, or eat it in a stew or in tacos.
Wow.
And it's only for the mother. Other family members don't really get the same nourishment out of it. Placentas are used in Chinese medicine, but I would see a Chinese practitioner if you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So I do placenta encapsulation.
No,
to come back around to your original question. I make sure that the moms have it available if they need it. And some people want it done because it helps with a lot of things. It can help with support for the mood after the birth. It can help with tissue healing after the birth. Milk supply. I've even heard of some women saving some for their baby's toddler years to help with stress during the toddler years. So
interesting. Because I took mine in capsule form, and I just definitely felt like it kind of helped rebalance all the hormones that are trying to realign again to preconceived moments.
Yeah, definitely. And it is. There's not a lot of scientific studies with it, but there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that it does support women.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. So Cheryl, if we were looking for a midwife, what's the best place? Your website?
Yeah. So my website is healthyfamilieshomebirth.com. And if you're here in Colorado, the coloradomidwives.org, that's a really great website to find a midwife that's near you if you're not in the Longmont area. And if you aren't in the state, in Colorado State, then you may have a midwifery organization that has a list of midwives that will be available for you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing time with us and for helping and for educating us and those who may not know much about midwifery, because it's an old age way of doing things that should be even more the way that we do them.
Oh, thank you so much, Melissa, for having me and letting me share my passion with you. I really love everything about midwifery and about supporting women during this time. So,
yeah. I love supporting women too. Well, and males, but yeah, there's something special. Yeah. Well, beautiful. Well, thank you, and we'll see you again next month for the next featured healer. Thanks.